So sigma is just talking about variation, right? How different were those signature cards from each other that you rejected, right? Well, we know what the rate was. It was, you know, we failed 90 out of 40, or we failed 9 out of 40, right? But it also talks about, numerically, when we're talking about continuous data, or, you know, maybe we can use cycle times, how different were those from each other, from the mean? So you've got what you end up with. I think that thing's run by remote. If this was the, if that's the mean, how different were the cycle times? The difference from here to here, from here to here, from there to there. You average all those up, add it. I'm sorry. You add all these up, divide it by the number of points, and it says, and it talks about, as a group, about how far away are they from the mean. Some might be on the mean, some might be way out, right? The further you go, the more your variation is. Or is it a tight process that looks like this? So there's a big difference between these results and these results. So the variation's a lot less on this lower one. Okay, so mean. Mean is another word for average. Mean is really only to be used when the data is normally distributed. You know, that bell curve, right? Otherwise, we use median. It's for median's looking for the middle number. If you lined up these numbers from smallest to largest and just start marking them off on the ends until you get to the one in the middle, that's the median. Now, if there's two numbers in the middle because you had an even number of data points, you average those two together, and that's the middle number. Now, we use this not when the data's normal, but when it's when the curve looks like this. All right, so when you hear the word median used most, they talk about median home sale prices, right, in an area. Well, the reason they use that is because these out here on the far end, the $1 million, $5 million, $100 million homes, don't negatively affect the what is that? The numbers clustered around, right? Well, when it's a bell curve, you know, all of the numbers are clustered around this middle thing. Here, there are some clustered here, but then you've got the rest of these that are tailed off. If you calculate the average, it's going to drag this line to the right. So grades aren't really on a bell curve. A grade, you know, I don't know, we were kids. They said, hey, let's grade on a curve. That's kind of the last thing you want. A grade is a higher is better quality. And so what happens is these people up here, they get their grades subtracted from to bring them to this median value, and then those of us that slept in class, you know, we get extra points for not doing the work. That's what grading on the curve does.
That's what I'm talking about.
So real statistically, you know, that's what those numbers mean. Mode is the most occurring number, the number that shows up the most. So there's not a lot of uses for mode. I use it sometimes in survey, when I take surveys, like on a 1 to 5 type of scale, and then I'll take the mode. But if we're talking about it on a normal curve, mean, median, and mode is the same thing. It's when we get on these other lower is better, higher is better type of thing. Cycle time is a lower is better type of metric. Percent quality is a higher is better. You want that to be 100 all the time. Sometimes it's 60, right? That sort of thing. Okay, so I just had this discussion here, and we can go in and lay these blue lines, which are what the customer wants, right? If it's that kind of, like I talked about the cycle times on the contracts earlier, we've got 175 days, so we'd throw our upper line, you know, on the 175 days, and we'd see just how many are not even meeting expectations, is what this is talking about. So you've got this purple curve, these outside the blue lines, not meeting expectations at all. Those are failures. The red one is a little bit better, but it's still got some failures. This green one has got better variation, but the middle of it is right on top of the lower spec. So we're throwing away these right here. These are not meeting expectations. Every time I look at that document, half of it's wrong. And I got to send it back. And it's just making me madder and madder, right? That sort of thing. And then we've got this blue, I guess it's blue. It's type variation. It's well within the light blue lines. That's meeting and exceeding expectations. And whatever it is that we do based on this process is probably going to be great. We can predict that one. We're going to have success rate almost every time. Out of 1,000,000, we'll have a lot of them will be good, right? This one, this green one, not so much. I'm going to be firing somebody with this green curve. Okay, so 3 sigma versus 6 sigma, what does that mean? Right, so here's the favorite, right? The newborns dropped, right? In a 3 sigma process, it's 40,000. In 6 sigma, it's 3 in 100 years. Let's talk about the opportunities. Unsafe drinking water, about 2 hours each month. That's not too bad, as long as we know which 2 hours are is the bad drinking water time. Do we know? No, you only hear about it after the fact. Right? If our water treatment runs at a 6 sigma level, unsafe drinking water 1 second every 6 years. Well, that's a little bit better. Here's the surgical operations each week, short or long landings at O'Hare. But we're talking about how many defects per some number of opportunities. And we're going to calculate that here in a minute.